Good morning, I'm Kim Ogg. I'm the Harris County District Attorney. We're here to update the public on the ongoing investigation into criminal activity within the jail. A special investigative unit of the Harris County Sheriff's Department, along with our Public Corruption Division at the DA's office, have been investigating crimes occurring in the jail, beginning with the fentanyl deaths or fentanyl-related deaths of several inmates. As a part of that and other investigations, 3 people today are being charged and have been 2 arrested and 1 in custody for an organized crime case with money laundering as the underlying felony offense. In this case, Joshua Sinclair Owens, 35 years old, has had his commissary account seized by the district attorney's office as a result of evidence showing that the funds in his commissary were received through drug smuggling. These criminal proceeds being seized is a historic tactic for this district attorney's office. To the best of our knowledge, in Harris County, an inmate's commissary funds have not been seized as the proceeds of a crime. But in this case, almost $30,000 went through this inmate's account since he's been in jail. The inmate himself is a dangerous person. He's charged with murder among 5 other felonies pending. Now, I want to commend the Sheriff's Department for their thorough investigation and cooperation with our Public Corruption Division. I want to thank the diligent prosecutors and support staff that I have in the Public Corruption Division. Kimberly Smith will be telling you the specifics of this crime, but Robert Bruce has joined us also, and they've been working with the Sheriff's Department Investigative Unit for months on these and other cases as part of this ongoing investigation. What stands out about this case is that this defendant, Joshua Sinclair Owens, along with 2 other individuals, family members out in the free world, also charged, has run this operation from within the Harris County Jail. These are the kinds of things that we see in other countries, and this is the kind of criminal activity we will not tolerate. It's of note to tell you that while this inmate had $30,000 at one time going through his commissary fund, the commissary is generally used for inmates' comfort, to buy items related to personal hygiene, toothbrushes, toothpaste, maybe stationery. There's certain religious items that are available, but nothing costs more than a few dollars. So the fact that $30,000 went through this individual's account in conjunction with other evidence forms the basis of these charges of engaging in organized crime based on money laundering. It's important that we prosecute crimes like this because they pose a threat to other inmates. Obviously, drugs in the jail have led to deaths of inmates in the jail while in government custody. We cannot let that happen. 2 other people have been charged previously, not related to this case. Ronald Lewis, an attorney, and also detention officer Robert Robertson. They are unrelated cases, but all of these work as independent, organized crime groups within the jail. And the attorney, of course, was part of a scheme bringing drugs into the jail. I'm going to turn it over to Kimberly Smith of our Public Corruption Division to talk to you about the specifics of who's charged, what they're charged with, and how this scheme actually went down. Kim?
Thank you. Thank you, Kim, and good morning, everyone. As District Attorney Kim Ogg stated, the target of this investigation is Joshua Sinclair Owens. He is charged with 5 felonies currently, the highest charge of which is murder, and he faces up to life in prison. He definitely is a dangerous individual, and he is currently making thousands upon thousands of dollars in the Harris County Jail, smuggling, distributing, and selling drugs within the jail. In this scheme, Owens would sell drug-laced papers to other inmates, have those inmates pay him through the Cash App account, and then Owens would instruct his accomplices in the free world on how and when to launder the money from Owens' Cash App account and into his commissary account. The Harris County Sheriff's Office team of investigators discovered by listening to Joshua Owens' jail calls, telling the accomplices, who are his family members, one being a stepsister and one being a cousin, who assisted in laundering the money from inmate Owens' commissary account, and these individuals are now co-defendants facing up to life in prison as well for the same charges. So at this time, we have not been able to establish a direct link as to who exactly is smuggling the drugs into the jail, but this is an ongoing investigation and working very hard to find a direct link as to how Owens is able to acquire these sheets of drug-laced paper. The drug-laced paper typically come in the form of papers coated with synthetic marijuana, but in some cases, the papers are covered in fentanyl. We just haven't been able to make a connection at this time as to whether Owens actually possessed fentanyl-laced sheets of paper. The Harris County District Attorney's Office Fraud Examiner, Robert Bruce, standing up here today, in assistance by the Harris County Sheriff's Office Special Investigative Unit, drafted an 18-page seizure warrant seizing the commissary funds of inmate Joshua Owens. Inmate Joshua Owens was able to accumulate over $28,000 by selling drug-laced sheets of paper in the Harris County Jail. In addition to seizing his funds, obviously, we have charged all three individuals, one of which was already in custody, but the other two have been arrested, and all face up to life in prison for their criminal acts. It must also be noted that inmate Joshua Owens did not come into the Harris County Jail with $30,000. He came in when he first entered the jail as an inmate with $200 in his commissary, and from October of 2024 to October 2023 to June of 2024, he was able to make a revenue of over $28,000. I do want to take this opportunity to thank the Harris County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Yuri Sines, and Detention Officer Ana Ortiz, as well as our fraud examiner, Robert Bruce, for their diligent work and their commitment to this case. We feel confident that this investigation is far from being complete. It is far from being done. We hope to have more charges in the future, and y'all will hopefully be able to see those as well.
Questions?
So is the drug-laced paper, even after the arrest of Ronald Lewis and Robert Robertson, still being smuggled into the jail?
To our knowledge, and based off of the transactions that Joshua Owens has had with several individuals, inmates in the Harris County Jail, yes, this is still ongoing and this is still occurring, yes.
Is it normal to see $28,000 plus in commissary funds for inmates, or was that something that kind of triggered you guys to say, hey, we should look into this?
Absolutely. An inmate should not need $30,000, close to $30,000 in his commissary account. As District Attorney Kim Ogg stated earlier, toothbrushes go for maybe $2 a piece, a notebook pad maybe $4. So to have that amount of money sitting in your commissary, it could only be used for whenever the inmate gets out of jail at some point, to take that money and then use it for whatever purpose later in life.
What triggered the investigation? Was it the amount of money in the account?
This is an ongoing investigation, so I'm not really at liberty to discuss how it all developed. But what I can say, what drew our attention to this and this cause and what we're trying to stop at this point was the fentanyl-related deaths. People are dying within the Harris County Jail from smoking papers covered in fentanyl. So we've been working nonstop around the clock trying to find who is the cause of this problem.
How many deaths were related to?
So, no, for right now, as of today, we cannot say for sure that any fentanyl deaths were related to this inmate, but we are aware of at least, I believe, 2 fentanyl deaths in the jail.
I can address that.
Yes, sir.
Assistant District Attorney Garrett Moore of our Major Narcotics Division is handling the new crime of delivery of fentanyl causing death. It's considered murder. And so we know of one case where an inmate traded, I think, ramen for a pill. The pill killed the person that took it. He was an inmate in the county jail, and that was one beginning. But there have been a number of complaints and tips and investigations by the Sheriff's Department. Like we said, these are all organized crime groups, not necessarily affiliated with each other, but operating within and outside the jail to smuggle contraband.
Is it believed that other inmates are using the same laundering tactic, or is it just Owens?
I think that's part of the ongoing investigation. There's various ways to sell drugs and receive compensation, and I would suggest that all are possibilities right now in terms of the investigations that are ongoing.
The attorney and the jailer, are they thought to be part of this operation?
No, they are a separate group that came to the attention of the Public Corruption Division and the Sheriff's Department. The unusual thing about this inmate is the amount of money, and we do suggest a cap be placed on the commissary fund at the Sheriff's Department to prevent exactly this type of crime. That would be the policy of the sheriff, and you'd have to talk to him. But I think there needs to be a reasonable relationship between the amount of money in a defendant's commissary, which is a jail bank account, and what the alleged need of the commissary fund is, which is to purchase personal items at the commissary, none of which cost more than a couple of dollars. So whatever policy is involved, it's just suggested to consider placing a cap on it. There was a loophole that allowed the inmate to do it this way. Could you explain that loophole?
Yes.
Did you?
I believe so. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Because she does it better than I do. I don't quite know how the commissary fund works.
So essentially, what this particular inmate did, and what we can prove, is that he would have the other inmates pay him via Cash App onto his Cash App account. This Cash App was being managed, maintained by these additional family members who we have charged in the 3 indictments as well. And so he would have them transfer money from the Cash App account and onto his commissary account. Now, the reason why he would not allow for the cash to sit on his Cash App account was because at a certain point, Cash App will shut down an account if there's some suspect of suspicious activity going on. So that's why he would constantly have small transfers being done, and that's how he would get around all of this.
This is the loophole the cash paid today.
Oh, yes, ma'am. And so another venue of getting money onto the commissary would be kiosks at Walmart, at Walgreens. These kiosks essentially allow you to put any number of money on someone's books, their commissary account. So generally there is a cap. It's about $200 that you can put on an inmate's commissary account. But by going to these kiosks, you can do any number amount of money.
So it's a loophole.
How were the inmates using Cash App to pay this guy? Do they have phones or something?
So the way that they would manage their Cash App, do payments through Cash App, again, is to have the family members manage their account for them. So family members, so say inmate Owens would sell sheets of paper to another inmate, that inmate would have someone in the free world for them pay inmate Owens on his Cash App account, which is managed by the 2 other people we've indicted.
So the payment occurs outside the jail, and then the money flows back into the inmate's account.
There's a lot of effort being put into allowing these inmates to do drugs in the jail.
It is truly a criminal enterprise.
2 questions. So you guys said that there were 3 people charged in this organized crime. Is that Josh and then his 2 family members?
That is correct.
Okay. And the 2 family members, they are arrested but not in custody?
They are in custody, yes. They have been arrested and they are in custody.
So if
Nathaniel Campbell and Lativia Bailey.
Would that commissary money, let's say he still had $30,000 in there, get transferred to him in cash if he were free?
That they are allowed to retrieve their funds. Yes, at some point when they when they release from custody, they are able to retrieve the funds from their commissary account. Yes.
But you know what? We don't run the commissary. We're not the sheriff's department, and I think those questions are best answered by the sheriff's department. It's always been our understanding when an inmate is released from jail, their property is returned at that time, unless it's in evidence. And in this case, it's in evidence.
How long has Josh Owens been in custody for the murder charge?
He's been in custody for quite some time. I want to say it's at least a year, 2 years, but the exact time period I'm not completely aware. But we do know, based off of the records, that he's at least been engaging in this type of criminal activity since October of last year.
And I did want to introduce, we have our homicide prosecutors from the Major Offenders Division of the DA's office. They're here, Brian Honeycutt and Seppi Zimmer. God, sorry about that. It was going to be Zimmerman, so thank you for the correction. Anyway, they've got the murder case. They can answer, if they can, any questions about the murder. But the corruption cases are being handled by the Public Corruption Division. And we have members of our asset forfeiture team around somewhere, short, behind a camera. So we have a whole asset forfeiture division that actually files the civil suits, collects the money, and there's a process for that. We have used it traditionally for human trafficking and drug smuggling proceeds. Also car racing and that kind of thing where cars are forfeited. But in this case, it's historic, we believe, in Harris County and maybe Texas to have seized a criminal defendant's jail commissary fund as the proceeds of crimes he committed while in jail.
What is the likelihood, or how close are you guys to being able to link who caused these drug-induced deaths?
I got to say, that's part of the ongoing investigation by the Sheriff's Department and this division.
What was the relationship of the two family members? Was this a brother, sister, cousin, mom, aunt?
Yes, so one was a cousin, and one we believe is a stepsister, I believe.
Cousin and a stepsister.
Yes.
Are there other commissary accounts with questionable amounts of money?
It's an ongoing investigation, and we're finding out more information each and every day, getting new leads, new tips, and so, yeah, hopefully we will have charges in the future, but at this time, we can't say for sure.
Do you think there's a dollar amount the county has lost or any potential other money laundering through the commissary?
Again, I think that's a better question fit for the sheriff's office to answer.
Lastly, from me, how old is Joshua?
Joshua Owens is 35.